I had the privilege of interviewing one of our farmers in the Hazyview region of Mpumalanga, Hendrik Alberts from Selde So. In 2019, they achieved quite bad results in terms of unsound, and then moved from that to lower their unsound to a level where they won the first prize at our White River factory in 2020. I asked Hendrik to explain to us what are the things on his farm that he does to achieve these results, and this is what he had to say.
We ramped up our pruning practices. We did prune quite aggressively over the past half a decade, but before the 19 season or the 20 season, in the 19 season, we pruned even more aggressively. If you have to choose between pruning, watering, and fertilizing, choose pruning. It has the biggest influence on your cropping. So we try to have a sort of Christmas tree shape of our trees. So we prune shoulders and we keep the heads down, to about 80% of the width of the lines. We prune straight after harvesting. So as soon as possible, the moment we harvest the last nut on a block, the pruning team goes in and they do the pruning. It is important to use different classes in successive spraying. If you use a organophosphate or pyrethroid every time, inevitably you will develop a lot of resistance. I know that some farmers use very potent chemicals from a certain class excessively and have good results with it. But I think inevitably resistance will come. There's no doubt about it. So I never use chemicals from a single class alone. I always change different classes, and I always combine chemicals from two classes. My hive health is a good indication of what's going on in the farm as well, whether I manage or mismanage my spraying program. So I look at the bee health right through the year, and if I see any changes there, I know that there's something that I'm doing wrong, because they're right on the edges in the indigenous bush. And that's why we only spray at night as well, for many reasons. We have seen that you could lose as much as 30% of your active ingredient of your chemicals on the smaller water droplets just by evaporation during the day when it's warm. So with cooler temperatures, you obviously can have as much as 30% more active ingredient on the tree and on the stink bug. So that's very important. Secondly, species that you don't want to do any harm to, especially your bees and so on, are out of the orchards at night. So you don't do any harm to your bee population, which is extremely important. And stink bugs are known to be sessile during the night. So your chances of applying your chemical efficiently on the stink bug during the night is just much better than during the day. I still see there are still farmers that spray during the day, which I think there's no place for in this industry, because of the bees and because it's just not effective. But apart from that, calibration of your equipment is extremely important. So we did calibration of our spraying machines. We made sure that they do reach the tops of the trees. It's very important to monitor the efficiency of your spraying at different heights in your trees, to make sure that your equipment doesn't only cover the bottom part of the tree, but the upper areas, which is obviously more difficult to reach. So you have to be able to monitor that well. So what we use is on a couple times a season or more, we use electrical conduit of about 1 meter intervals. We use the little joints. We use water sensitive paper, which is difficult to get and expensive, but definitely worthwhile getting, but with double-sided sticky tape, and we put that around the conduit so that you can get a good picture of what the chemical residue is all the way around. Work with gloves because the paper is very water sensitive. This is how we apply, how we insert the conduit into the trees with the paper. So we start with the one that will go up high up in the tree first, and then extension with or without the paper. Push it nicely close to the central leader between the leaves there. Apply another one with a paper there. So one can see that there's quite significant spray residue at the very top of the tree. So I know my equipment is working well at the moment. We also broke away from the idea of monthly or 3 or 4 weekly, whatever, empirical spraying. I think that's a bad practice. We started using the key phase scouting program, extensive scouting program, right through the farm, where you can see the GPS locations of where your problems are. And after a few weeks, you get a good idea of which parts of the farm are susceptible to stink bug and other things. Helped us a lot to tell us when and where to spray. So we did not necessarily do a blanket spray throughout the farm every time at monthly intervals or so. We sprayed when the scouting program indicated above threshold values. So if we have more than 0.4 stink bug per tree average on the trees that we scouted the night before, we applied a spray. The program was even more helpful to indicate after we sprayed what chemicals worked and did not work. Scouting is important. If you look at the cost of chemicals at the moment, the implications for the environment and the pressure that we will get in this industry, like any other industry, with residues and the misuse and the effect on the environment, especially bees, we will have to be able to prove very, very well that it was necessary to spray and that we sprayed effectively.